Welcome to Meet the Candidate with your host, Sue Lonnie Madsen. Meet the Candidate is your opportunity to see local candidates and hear about the experiences that have shaped their lives. Meet the Candidate is a nonpartisan community project brought to you by our friends at Greater Spokane Incorporated, Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, We Believe, We Vote, and Better Spokane. Now, here's Sue Lonnie.
Okay, well, welcome to Meet the Candidate. My guest for this session is a candidate for District Court Judge, Patrick Johnson. Welcome, Patrick.
Good morning, Sue Lonnie. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to ask each of the judicial candidates to explain a little bit about what their position is that they're running for. So if you could explain what the District Court Judge position is, please.
You bet. District Court Judges, that's kind of like the People's Court. The volume is huge. We deal with misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors, hearing thousands of cases every year. Mostly what we're talking about, shoplifting, DUI, driving suspended, that sort of thing. So it's a lower level court. Above that would be a felony level superior court type position.
Okay, well, one that interacts with an awful lot of people and affects their lives.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so let's start with how your life and where did you grow up and go to school?
Yeah, you bet. I was born in Washington State. I was born in Ellensburg. Lived there just a short time, moved to the Vancouver area, Hazeldale, just outside of Vancouver. Mm-hmm. But really, I grew up in Medford, Oregon, Southern Oregon. My dad got on at a construction company down in Medford. And he's one of the few adults to this day who I know who can calculate the volume of a cylinder, because it was his job to estimate the amount of asphalt, cement, concrete that a particular project would need. So he had some really specific skills. My mom, very supportive. She's the type who told me that you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it and work hard, and I didn't know any better, so I believed her, and it's been a good life lesson moving forward. So I lived in Medford really all growing up, all through school years. I was involved in school quite a bit. I did sports, wrestling.
What's your favorite sport, wrestling?
I think wrestling was early on my favorite, but little football, that didn't work out for me. I just wasn't really big enough. But then in high school, I did swimming. Oh. And we didn't have enough people on our team. We're a small high school, so we, of course, didn't have a pool either. So we had to combine with other small schools and use the swimming pool at the college. And we called ourselves Southern Oregon High School, just to make something up so we could compete with other schools. But I really liked that. And swimming's tough. That's a good workout. Did that. I was involved in student issues, student government. I was freshman class president, sophomore class president, and then president of the high school my senior year. Got into working. I worked at McDonald's during high school.
Lots of people start with the fast food.
I've seen your show. I'm amazed.
Yeah,
a lot of people start that way. But it makes sense. That's where you get your work values. I remember making $3.35 an hour. I was kind of happy about it because that was $3.35 an hour more than I was making before I had that job. But you really get a feel for what an employer expects of you. You get the discipline to do things that we take for granted nowadays, showing up on time, working hard. Their motto was, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. So that's what we did.
It's a good training ground. So besides perhaps not wanting to keep working there, what drew you into the path that took you towards the law?
Well, it was kind of a path that was mixed with the military. I always had an interest in the military. I was able to secure a congressional nomination to West Point when I was in high school. It didn't work out. My left eye just is not correctable to 20/20, and they had a lot of applicants who had two good eyes, so they took those guys. But that interest in the military kind of stuck with me. I did a year of college at Southern Oregon State and ran out of money. And
that happens to a lot of people.
Right. And then the Army was kind of there in the back of my head. So I enlisted. To jump out of airplanes at Fort Bragg. Oh. I did psychological operations. We would do leaflet campaigns, loudspeaker appeals, trying to win the hearts and minds of the opposing forces and get them maybe not to fight. So that's kind of a force multiplier if the opposition isn't fighting. So that was good work. I did my enlistment. took advantage of the GI Bill and got my degree in business administration, specialization in finance from Central Washington University, and then went to Gonzaga for law school and enjoyed that. Graduated with honors from Gonzaga.
Oh, so have you practiced the law here in Spokane then?
I have. In fact, since I was an intern back in law school, I interned with the city public defender's office. I really got hooked on criminal law. This concept that the work you do, the criminal justice system, involves people's lives, not just the people who are charged, but the people who are involved maybe as a victim of a crime and the cost to the community. There's so many competing interests, and I was just fascinated by it, and it's really fast-paced. It isn't, I don't know if I'd be well suited to carrying a briefcase and looking through briefs that are hundreds of pages long for a big corporation. I love this in-the-trenches kind of work.
Well, that's what prompted you then to move out of that fast in the trenches work. Well, it sounds actually like your description of district court judge, you're still in the trenches.
Right.
What drew you towards the judicial branch?
It's not really by accident. Yeah, I've been a prosecutor for 20 years. I've defended soldiers in the military and the JAG Corps for the last 17 years. So I was looking at my background, but what really prompted me, I heard that there was a judge retiring on the bench in district court, Judge Vance Peterson, a judge who has served over 20 years as a judge. In fact, a little history, my very first criminal trial was in front of Judge Vance Peterson before he was even a judge. He was a court commissioner. And he was patient with me, and he was fair, and that's kind of stuck with me. But importantly, he's a military guy. He retired as a lieutenant colonel from Special Forces. He started Veterans Court in 2009.
Oh.
And on the bench right now, there, other than Judge Peterson, there aren't any veterans. And I'm the only candidate running who has military experience, who's actually served in the military. And so I thought about this, and when I heard that he was not running again, it's like the light bulb going off. You know, I thought, wow, you know, I could do that. You start out your legal career thinking, oh no, only the most experienced and smartest people can be judge. And then you wake up one day and you go, well, I don't know if I'm the smartest, but I've sure got a lot of experience and I could do this job and do a good job at it. So that's kind of what led me into it. So I talked to my wife and my kids and ran it by them, and they were wonderful and supportive. And so the next day, I put it on Facebook that I was running, because nothing is official until you put it on Facebook.
That's true. Facebook official, that's where you make the announcement.
Yeah, I think I may have surprised my wife, Dana, just a little bit, though, because I got a text from her, "You're what? You're running?" We just talked about that yesterday. But I was serious, and it made a lot of sense to me. So I'm honored Judge Peterson is endorsing me to take over his position, and I hope the voters agree.
Well, apparently he had a great impression on you early on as
I hope so.
in front of his court. Well, you get this last minute to answer that question for voters. Right. How do you see the duties of this? We've kind of talked about the duties of this elected office, but why should voters choose you as district court judge?
Great. Yes, I appreciate that opportunity. I do want to explain why I am the best candidate for the job. First of all, balance. 20 years as a prosecutor. I started out doing misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors. I moved my way up doing felonies. I've done the most serious crimes. I've done murder, rapes, child molests, prosecuted chronic offenders, career criminals out throughout that 20 years. So I have that kind of background. Prosecutors, by definition, are more than advocates. Our duty is to seek justice. The rules of ethics call us ministers of justice. It's a lofty title, but one that I have tried to fulfill, remembering to do justice in every case, and that means weighing every case and coming to what I hope is the best decision. I also have experience defending people, defending my soldiers for the last 17 years in the Army JAG Corps, the Judge Advocate General Corps. I also have experience, not just the 20 years of being in court, but trial experience. I have over 150 criminal trials that I have personally tried. I have support. I have the support of the sheriff. I have the support of the judge that I'm looking to replace. And I'm honored that I not only have the support of the county prosecutor, but also the county public defender. I also have by far the longest list of judicial endorsements coming into this race, and I'm honored to have that. So support, people have been very generous with their support, and training. I've not only had the training on the prosecutor side, the civilian side, but the military side, and I'm a trainer myself. I've been focusing on training ethics. In fact, last month I trained the statewide prosecutors conference. I'm going to do the same thing later this month. I am a well-known elder crimes presenter on the local and even national level, having been trained by the federal government for that purpose. So given that, I appreciate the opportunity to make my case to the people, and I look forward to your vote.
Okay, well, thank you for your closing remarks, and good luck,
Thank you,
Patrick.
Sue. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Meet the Candidate. Spokane Talks thanks our community-minded partners, Greater Spokane Incorporated, the Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, We Believe We Vote, and Better Spokane for helping make Meet the Candidate possible.